All right, I think we're good. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our SOFA Social tonight here at St. Joseph Regional High School. My name is Ryan Aselta. I'm the Director of Admissions and Marketing here at St. Joe's, and we are all in the building. You see a panelist of different members of staff here at St. Joe's, and we are very well social distance at this point, so that's why you see some of us without masks and some of them with masks, as you can see together. Mrs. Buckley and Mr. Odie are wearing their masks, and I know you at home are comfortable on your sofa for tonight. We're hoping that this could be a productive way to get some answers to you guys as part of this admissions process. We're about halfway through our admission season here and halfway into the application process with a deadline of December 1st looming, and I'm sure there are tons of questions that you have for us that hopefully we can get answered for you. I just want to introduce our panel here tonight, and everyone's going to tell you all a little bit about themselves. I know you've met some of us. Some of you have been to our open house, which was back in September, and you've met some of us and had a chance to talk with us as well. Again, my name is Ryan Aselta. I was a graduate here of St. Joe's in 1994, and now I've returned here to Montvale and to the SJR campus as the Director of Admissions. With us tonight, we have Hillary Barnett, who is also from our admissions department.
Hi, everyone, and welcome tonight. My name is Hillary Barnett. I've been with St. Joseph Regional High School for 9 years. Many of those were in the performing arts, and I moved over to the admissions department. I have 3 adult children, so I've been through this a lot of times, and I'm ready and willing and happy to help all of you this evening and beyond.
Hi, my name is Andrew Odie, and I'm the business manager here at St. Joe's. This is my 6th year here at St. Joe's, and I have 2 girls, both graduated from IHA and went on to university. One became a doctor of physical therapy, and we're here to help you through the process and hope after 24 years working with you and the family and your family.
My name is Mary Kay Buckley. I've been part of the St. Joe's family for almost 6 years now, 4 as a parent, and I'm in my 2nd year working in the business office. I have a daughter, Colleen, who went to IHA, and my son, Patrick, came here to St. Joe's. He's now a sophomore at Fordham University. They both went to public school for kindergarten through 8th grade. So as a parent and a parent of students who went through public school and then chose Catholic high school, I feel particularly equipped to help talk to families about both the financial and the personal decisions that you're going to make in these next few weeks. And I am happy to help in any way I can, email, phone call, everyone's here to help you.
My name is Michael Bruno. I'm a graduate of the class of 2005. This is my 5th year serving as principal here. Prior to being here at St. Joe's, I was the principal of the elementary school that I attended. So it's certainly an honor to come back and serve at 2 institutions that so profoundly impacted me. But I've also been on the other side of this process at the middle school level, helping 8th graders and their families, make a good choice. So tonight is designed for you. So please fire away, ask any questions that you can.
Okay, so we've got a wide range of panel experts in the field of admissions and financial aid and scholarship, as well as an array of we have a few alums, obviously, here, myself and Mr. Bruno. We have a parent of an alum here from St. Joe's. I'm also a parent of 2 boys, a 7th grader and a 5th grader. So I come from a different angle of my boys are preparing to go to high school soon, and that decision needs to be made from them. And hopefully we can answer all of your questions and get to them tonight. A little bit about how this will work tonight. If you have a question you'd like to type into the Q&A portion of our Zoom webinar, that's an easy way to post a question, and we'll take them right off the queue right there. If you'd like to ask a question live with us, either just audio wise, or if you want to open up your video, you can click in the Q&A and raise your hand, and we will easily call on you to get to any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, feel free to start posting them now or let us know. I know this year is certainly a different year when it comes to many things, and one of those things is high school admissions. As I said, we're about halfway into the period of accepting applications, and those applications are coming in right now as we speak. I just got another one actually a few minutes ago into my email box, which is great to see. Our deadline for admissions applications to be in is December 1st. And that's all done through our portal, which many of you have registered for our open house or a tour here at St. Joe's through that same portal. So that is available for you as well. So feel free to fire away with any questions that you have right now, and we can hopefully address those to you. One thing to get to as you're getting us a few questions, a lot of talk this year, obviously this fall, about the placement test, the HSPT co-op test. That, of course, is not happening. I know many of you know that this year. It's a traditional test placement for all the Catholic schools, and that's not happening due to COVID and under the direction of the Archdiocese of Newark. So in light of that, there are other ways that you can present your son to us as an applicant here at St. Joe's, and we'll hopefully get to that and hopefully get some of your questions coming in. We have a question from Lisa Boncaldo asking how many students typically apply and how many are accepted. Good question. Mike, you would probably know a little bit more about this since this is my first application season here at St. Joe's, but I know that number definitely changes from year to year as the amount of applicants and the amount that we fill our class with, right?
Correct. It does fluctuate. The one thing that doesn't fluctuate so much, which is a good thing for St. Joe's, is the number of students who register and then eventually attend St. Joe's. So we're a school of about 500 boys. I can tell you when I graduated in 2005, we were 500 boys. So despite the fluctuating sizes of Catholic schools and the unfortunate shrinking of a lot of Catholic schools, St. Joe's has been able to maintain pretty phenomenal stability, which I think is a testament. So you figure we're looking for a freshman class of about 125-ish. More than that would be great. Less than that, not so much. The total number of applicants, to your point, Mr. Celta, does fluctuate from year to year. It's a few hundred, and then again, we're looking to register about 125.
The next question's from Julie Hansen, and this is a good one to give a little bit of clarification. Julie asked, at the open house, I thought it was mentioned the first test for scholarships was going to be November 18th, but did not see it when I went to register. Great question, Julie. We also thought it was going to be November 18th, that scholarship test. When we met with you on open house on September 27th, that was the date we were prepared to give our scholarship testing. Under the direction of the Archdiocese, we were asked to move that date back. That was a decision that they made for many of the parochial schools in the area. So we now will be offering scholarship testing after we send out our acceptances. So our acceptances will go out on January 14th. Following that, we'll have 3 different opportunities to test for a scholarship if you're interested in pursuing a scholarship. Those dates are Saturday, January 16th, Wednesday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 23rd. So 3 opportunities to pick one that fits your schedule, test for a scholarship, and that falls right in between the period between acceptance and when we begin registration. There's basically about a month, 5 weeks or so in between there. So you'll be able to get your acceptance, hopefully, then choose a date to test for a scholarship, and then the decision will be for you to choose if St. Joe's is right for you. Annette Calderon is asking, can you tell me the steps for admissions and scholarships in a simple version? Yes, Hillary, do you want to simplify at least the application process? It's pretty simple. Like we said, it's on our portal that many of you are in, and it's really a 1, 2, 3, 4 step process that you are active part in, right, Hillary?
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so if you go onto our website, sjrnj.org, it's right there, apply now, you click in. It's really quite easy. We've made it as simple as possible for you. You get onto the website and you write in that application. You're going to fill out all the information and do your writing sample, and then submit the application. Once you submit your application, we will send you an email back saying that we've received it and that now it's okay to go back into that portal that you were just in, because you'll create an account when you first go in. And then you'll have a checklist of things, very, very, very full of explanation. We're not leaving anything up to guessing, where you'll check those items off when you get your letters of recommendation, when you download the information to get your transcripts over. All that stuff is in your checklist. Not only is it in your checklist, but it's outlined specifically in the email we send back to you once you submit your application.
Okay, and more on scholarships. We have another question in coming from scholarships from Shelley Foley. I know Mr. Bruno is going to take this one. The question is, when would we find out about the scholarship, and she followed up with the scholarship test results, and if your son qualified for a scholarship. Like,
Yeah, it's a great question. And this is actually one of the biggest changes with the lack of an HSPT test. So typically what we would do, students would take the HSPT the first Friday in November. And then at the point of acceptance, when you receive your acceptance packet, you would also receive any scholarship information at that time. So this time it'll be different. You'll receive your acceptance before you test for a scholarship. So because we have those 3 dates, our goal is going to be to turn around those decisions within a week, which is going to be a tall task for us, to be quite honest, but something I think we can do. So our goal is going to be, we're going to be grading the test ourselves in-house. So we'll be grading it, applying our scholarship rubric to it, and then communicating those decisions as soon as we can. But it is important to realize that at the time of acceptance, you won't have any scholarship information at that time.
okay, our next question is from Julie Hansen. When we request the transcripts from our current school system, do we request they be sent directly to St. Joe's? That's a good question. That is the one thing we do need to be sent to us directly, school to school, are the official transcripts. So when you submit the 9th grade application record to your school or your guidance counselor, they will then send their the official transcript to us. Now, you can upload your son's grades to get the process and put some more information in there if you have on your current school's portal. But as far as the official transcripts, they do need to come from your school. Other aspects of the application can be uploaded by you. Your letters of recommendation can be uploaded straight into the portal by you if you gather those from a teacher or a coach or an administrator. But when it comes to that transcript, it's got to come from your school to St. Joe's. Next question comes from Nicole Luisi. If the applicant has an HSPT taken through another school that is offering it, will you accept the score in lieu of the January test? Mr. Bruno, probably a good question for you, since it's kind of a unique year and you have dealt with testing scores and not having them this year.
Yep. So typically the answer is yes. In fact, that's one of the things from a parent perspective that I think is helpful and streamlines that your child would take one test and can send that score to multiple schools for acceptance purposes. So this year, without an HSPT, unfortunately, the answer is no. So you'll be accepted based on middle school scores, previous standardized testing, and then the rest of the application, the writing sample recommendations. So we'll be basing acceptance based solely on that. For scholarship testing, unfortunately, the answer is that you'll have to go to as many schools as you'd like to try to qualify for a scholarship at and take their unique tests. So St. Joe's will be offering our test on those dates. My assumption is that the other boys' schools in our area will do the same thing on different dates, where they're offering scholarship testing in that same window in between when acceptances go out and when registration happens.
All right, our next question is from Annette Calderon, and the question is, what are other options besides scholarships? I'm going to pass this off to the business office with Mr. Odie and Mrs. Buckley, and to explain some of the other options and some of our financial aid, which is in addition to scholarships here at St. Joe's.
Sure. We offer a generous financial aid program, which is available for you to begin the application process of right now. If you go onto the St. Joe's website, we utilize a service called FACTS, FACTS, and it's our tuition management system. FACTS is also a system that offers us an assessment of financial need. You complete a very comprehensive questionnaire. You upload some of your financial information, your most recent tax return, your 2019 tax return, and you have a space to give us some more insight into your family's story in terms of financial capability to pay. There is a narrative box where we look for and are really hoping for more information than just the numbers that show up on your tax return and in this questionnaire, because St. Joe's is a place where we try to help and understand each family's unique circumstances. And certainly with the last, the results of COVID and everything else that's going on in 2020, a lot of family unique circumstances have taken place, and we have done I think, a very good job of trying to respond to our family's needs, and we will continue to do that with the best information that you supply us. So financial aid is out there as an option for you. We also participate in two additional scholarship programs that are described on our website. One is called the Scholarship for Inner City Children, and the other one is called the Tri-County Scholarship. They are both described, they are outside organizations that support St. Joe's families to a great degree. The criteria for them is described pretty well on our website. I'd also be happy to talk to anybody about those personally, but those are two additional sources of scholarship that can benefit your son during his 4 years here.
Yeah, some great info there. And it looks like we have a few more financial aid questions for Mr. Odie and Mrs. Buckley. One is basically how you apply. You touched on that a little bit with facts and how you qualify, which is also a kind of a family by family basis. There's also a question to follow that up from someone asking, they have identical twins. Is there any financial consideration for siblings? I think that all fits into that gathering that information and gathering the big picture from when it comes to financial aid, right, guys?
Right, and we also offer discounts to families with siblings in St. Joe's, as well as families of alumni who have, or deciding to send their son to St. Joe's. We also have a discount for an employee, a Catholic school teacher discount, employee of the Archdiocese of Newark. So there are some other additional discounts that will be available to your family upon our review of your application. But I go back to encouraging you to complete the FACTS financial aid application as completely and as insightfully as you can so that we can do the best job of trying to help you.
And submit it timely. The earlier you send it in, the better we would be able to assess if you come back with any questions. The early applicants get fast answers, and you're able to make your decisions based on most accurate information.
I think we're having a little difficulty with Mr. Odie's microphone. So he may need to lean over on the next one there. Let me get to the next question. Julie Hansen has a question. If the pandemic subsides, which we're all hoping, obviously, will you be offering the Night for a Day program in the new year? That would certainly be our hope. At this point, we're under the direction of the Archdiocese of Newark. So in light of not having our Night for a Day program, and many of you might not know what that is, that's when your son, a prospective 8th grader, comes to St. Joe's and is paired up with one of our night ambassadors and spends the day with them, goes to their classes with them, meets their friends, travels the hallways, really gets a feel of what it's like to be a student here on campus at St. Joe's. When that was shut down at the beginning of the school year, we've done a couple things. One was we started offering more personal tours. So that is still available. Those have been going on after school at 2:15 each day. That's something you can schedule on our website and pick a date that might work for you and get a personal tour after school hours here. The other thing we've been doing or did was we created a video, a virtual Night for a Day experience with some of our ambassadors during the school day. And it was geared towards your sons, really geared towards 8th graders, the type of thing that they might watch on YouTube. It's a couple minutes long, and we sent it out to many of the families that visited here at Open House. And if you did not get that, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to send that to all of you registered here online to show your sons. And it's a kind of point of view video at what it's like to roam the halls here, be a student for the day, take part in some activities, some different classes. And we're proud of how that turned out, and we think your sons would enjoy that. So ultimately, we hope the Night for a Day program gets up and running as quick as possible, again, because we do like having 8th graders come here and pay us a visit. The next question would be from David Harrow. How will the scholarship tests be like? In what format? Mr. Bruno, I know you have some insight on that.
Yeah, so it really, in a lot of ways, it will mirror what had been on the HSPT, but certainly be a more streamlined version of it. So one of the difficult things with the HSPT is it's a long test, and it's tough for kids to sit through a 2.5-hour exam. So it'll certainly be a lot shorter. In terms of content, there will be a math component, a reading comprehension component, and a writing component. For us, the math and the writing are sort of the two biggest areas that we look at. For me, particularly the math, because we have students coming from so many sending districts and so many different definitions of what constitutes pre-algebra, algebra, or what drives me crazy on an 8th grade transcript is Math 8. I don't know what Math 8 is, and I keep trying to get middle schools to change this, but they won't. So the math component for us is key. You know, it'll start with some basic computational, qualitative, quantitative analysis, dovetail into pre-algebra, and then build into algebra concepts. To sort of go into your next question, the merit-based scholarships are really going to be based solely on this, this scholarship test. So as a middle school principal, when it was getting to be co-op and HSPT time, I would say, you know, it's just one test, relax, don't worry about it. On this side of the table now, when it comes to scholarship testing, I say, it's just one test, you really need to do well on it. We obviously look at the whole transcript as well. Sometimes kids just have a bad day. That's when really it's incumbent on you as the parent to sort of reach out and advocate a little bit for your sons to say, you know, he had a bad day and look at his other grades, and, you know, historically his other standardized test scores, you know, don't reflect what he did on your scholarship test. And those are conversations that we're more than willing and have regularly had with families.
And just as a reminder, the scholarship tests again will be after acceptance in January. If you want to jot down those dates, I'll give them to you again. They're also on our website under admissions tab under our important dates. And those dates again for the scholarship test are Saturday, January 16th, Wednesday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 23rd. The times of those testing sessions are to be determined at this point, and we are planning having registration for that likely in December. After applications are in, you will then be able to register for the scholarship test. Couple other dates just to keep an eye on. I mentioned that acceptances go out January 14th. I know someone had asked when you're notified. Usually, Hillary could correct me on this, but I believe something actually will be in your hands showing your acceptance as well as digitally as well. Is that right, Hillary?
Yeah, absolutely. We send out really great looking package, and you'll know.
It's exciting, right? At 8th grade, getting excited, accepted to the high school, and hopefully the high school of their choice should be made a big deal, obviously. So then we'll have the testing in mid to late January. We've got our placement tests takes part in early March. That's March 6th. So if you decide to register and become a class of the class of 2025, you'd have to take placement tests, and that will help build your curriculum for your freshman year as you come and become a student here at St. Joe's. Let me get to some more questions here. We have a question. Could you tell me if St. Joe's offers athletic scholarships? We do not offer athletic scholarships. We offer many different types of scholarships, but we do not offer specific scholarships that are geared towards athletics. I don't know if Mr. Odie and Mrs. Buckley have any more light to shed on that, but that has been the way here at St. Joe's for quite some time.
Yep.
Let's see, next question. Could you talk about letters of recommendation? How many would you like, and how do we submit these? This is a great question, and it's a little different this year. Something that I've been really hammering home to families who have come in either for a tour here or at open house is the more the better this year. You know, we don't have the testing this year, so we need a little bit of more information. So we require one letter of recommendation, and that has to come from someone from your son's school. So that could be a teacher, administrator, someone that can speak on his behalf. And choose wisely this year. This is not the year to just choose someone and they pull a letter out of their desk drawer and they just sign their name and put your son's name at the top. We need a little more info this year. So get that one letter from your school. And then in addition to that, if you feel comfortable, find someone, maybe a coach, maybe someone from church, maybe a scout leader, someone who has worked with your son on a project, knows his qualities. We're looking for someone to paint the full picture of your son. We will get your transcripts. We will know his grades. We want to know why your son will fit in to our community here at St. Joe's, what kind of leadership qualities he shows, what initiative he's taken in some of the projects that he's done. Those are the type of things that paint a full picture of the young man that we hopefully will welcome here into St. Joe's and into our community. Let's see. Glenn has a question. Our son's school closed in August. Can he submit recommendation letters from teachers who taught at that school, as well as teachers from his current school? We feel the teachers from his previous school truly know him. Mr. Bruno, you may want to talk on this a little bit. I had this question asked to me this afternoon as well, and I think it's okay to get both from a former school for someone who actually knows your son well. Obviously, your current school, if it's the new school for them, they've only been there for 6-7 weeks. So I think in that situation, someone from a previous school who actually knows your son would be very helpful. Mike?
You're exactly right. I think you just touched upon it actually, where, we're going to see the academic side of your son. We'll get his numbers, if you will. What's important, again, to your point, and to just kind of drive it home, is to paint the whole picture. We want quality kids in this school, period. We have quality kids in this school. So yeah, if there's teachers, and I'm sorry to hear about, that the school closed, but if there are teachers who are still willing to write that recommendation on his behalf, I think that in and of itself speaks volumes about the way they felt about your son.
And that's also a question, Glenn, that you may want to bring to our attention offline as well. If you're having trouble tracking down teachers from your former school, then let's talk about who can put something together and write on your son's behalf to give us a sense of who he is as a student and a young man. David is asking, what is the typical scholarship amount? Mrs. Buckley may want to handle this. I know that kind of ranges quite a bit, right?
As far as academic scholarships, merit-based scholarships, they range from anywhere from $1,500 to full tuition. And that has been our range, which probably doesn't help you, a lot, because the honest answer is there's not a school full of students here on full tuition scholarships, but we do recognize the merit-based, highly academically and highly well-rounded students in that way. So I would say it is extremely dependent on the application and the test results and the overall picture that your son presents. Financial aid, on the other hand, we have, again, an interest in really trying to understand your family's story. So our financial aid ranges from zero in some cases to an amount that we hope will help you afford St. Joe's in terms of the ability for your family to financially handle what is a big decision. Again, coming from a parent who sent 2 children to private Catholic high schools coming out of public school, it's a big decision, and there's a lot of factors that go into it, and the financial one is not a small one. So we do try to work with you personally to understand your circumstances, and so I guess I would leave it as there is a range that we hope will help you afford St. Joe's.
The next question is from Nicole. What kind of student excels academically at St. Joe's, and what makes the teaching environment special or different than other schools? I'll start, and I think Mr. Bruno would be great to chime in on this. I think the student that excels here academically at St. Joe's is one that wants to get involved in the Green Knights community. St. Joe's offers a lot to our students, a lot of different opportunities for them to get involved, get their hands dirty, so to speak, get their hands on things, figure out what they like and what they don't like. And that comes from choosing electives, to joining clubs, to trying out for teams, or taking part in the performing arts program. That's what makes St. Joe's special. I think we form young men who are very well-rounded because of the opportunities that they were afforded here at St. Joe's. And I think that makes us special and a bit different than other schools. I think our size is our strength here at St. Joe's. We give kids those opportunities. We have over 33 clubs, most of which were started by students here at St. Joe's. So the opportunity to get involved right away, but also take the initiative. And if there's something that you'd like to do in a club you'd like to start as a young man, you have the opportunity to do that at St. Joe's. And we really try to foster that type of environment. Mike, you can hop in. I know that's part of, we are a college preparatory school. That's a very college way of doing things. When you go to college, you get involved, you try new things, you start clubs, and you see what you like and what you don't like. And I think that's a big thing that we pride ourselves on here at St. Joe's.
Correct. And well said. Academically, too, we understand that there are there are varying degrees of what students consider to be success. So, we've talked a lot about scholarships and the high achieving students, and we have those students. We also have students who have struggled through middle school, who may have IEPs, ISPs, 504s. They also meet with success here, though. Like, the kids who academically are really successful are the ones who are invested and who are willing to put in the work and the effort. You asked, I think, as well, like what makes us special in terms of a teaching environment. I think honestly, it's that the teachers want these boys to succeed, period. I mean, their success is our success. So just the investment on the teachers' part, reaching out to parents, offering extra help, kind of motivating students to meet with success, I think is really what separates us. But again, there's opposite ends of the spectrum. We absolutely have our high achieving students and our students who are on close to full tuition because of merit-based scholarships. And then again, we also have students who aren't, and all of those students are able to meet with success here.
I just want to speak on this for a moment as a parent. As I mentioned before, my son graduated from St. Joe's and is now a sophomore in college. And he came here really not knowing many students, because he did come from a public school at a little bit of a distance, I guess, typically for St. Joe's. But, he came here and got himself involved in sports, in the performing arts program, in student leadership, and experienced, I think, a wide range of the type of student, as Mr. Bruno just referred to, from boys, young men who struggled a little bit academically, to kids who were the tops of their classes. And he left here a very well-rounded guy. I might sound like a whatever parent. My point was going to be that the biggest takeaway for him from St. Joe's was that there is no standard student. There is no model that you have to fit in order to be successful and happy here, both from an involvement perspective as well as an academic perspective. There are students on all ranges. And so I think the idea that you don't have to be of a particular model, there is no standard, St. Joe's graduate is a testament to the fact that we do a great job with students of all abilities.
Annette has a question. Are there any religious requirements? Mr. Bruno, I know you want to answer this. We do have service requirements here at St. Joe's that Mr. Bruno will talk about.
Yeah, correct. So not entirely sure the context of the question. In terms of our acceptance, do students have to be Catholic? The answer is no. We have students from all faith denominations, all different races, ethnicities. Really, the way that I kind of look at St. Joe's is it's here comes everybody. And I think that's what makes us special. It's not kind of the cookie cutter kid that comes here. It's a whole range of students that come here. So in terms of our acceptance requirements, the answer is no. In terms of once students are here at St. Joe's, there are religious requirements. So every year there's a full year theology course that students take. That obviously talks in great depth about Catholicism. There's also a world religions component to that. We do celebrate Mass monthly as a school, and every Friday morning in our chapel, students are invited to attend Mass. And then, as Mr. Aselta started to touch upon, the service requirement. So we have a 20-hour a year service requirement. This year, obviously, like everything else, it's a little bit different. But honestly, the requirement number is not that meaningful, in that so many students go well above and beyond those 20 hours. So yes, is faith formation and campus ministry and service a big part of St. Joe's? It absolutely is.
Okay, our next question is, do we upload the letters of recommendation into the application portal? I don't recall a place to do that. Ms. Barnett is our application portal specialist. She's going to answer that for us.
Thanks so much. I just want to say some really great questions. You guys are very astute. Yeah, there is, on that checklist that I mentioned before, there is a place to upload those letters of recommendation. As Mr. Aselta said earlier, you can definitely supply us with more than one. As a matter of fact, we encourage you to do so. There is a checklist item in your portal where you'll be able to upload them directly, or if the author of those letters would prefer to send them directly to us, as some of them do, you can send them to us at either my attention at Barnett H at SJRNJ, and we'll provide that those emails to you, or at admissions@sjrnj.org, admissions@sjrnj.org, and then we'll upload them for you.
A pretty simple process. Once you're in that portal, it really walks you through it with those check boxes and step by step, and we can kind of keep an eye on where you are at in the process. And if something's missing, myself or Hillary obviously will be reaching out to you to kind of help you along that process. The next question is, without this year's testing, will you be able to assess how critical standardized testing is to putting together a class with school grades and recommendation? I know Mike can hop in on this as well. This year will be a learning year for all of us, I think. We are going to learn how critical those standardized tests are, or if we are okay forming a class based on letters of rec and school grades. We don't have a choice. That's a big factor in this whole thing here. But Mike, curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that was going to be my reaction. We're certainly going to find out. Again, in one sense, the HSPT, the standardized testing component, it just helps us in streamlining the process. And it's my belief it truly does help the parents in streamlining the process, because you're not going to have to run to all these different schools and take all these different tests. It allows you to sit once and use that throughout the process. So it's certainly going to be different. Can we put a class together based on the information that we have? Yes. I mean, your boys have been doing good work in middle school for all these years, and you and their middle school teachers have been telling them this matters because high school's coming. This matters because high school's coming. Well, now high school's coming. So it is going to matter. I think we're going to have a lot of good information, but to Mr. Aselta's point, we're certainly going to learn from this process.
Another question coming in from Sadie. Can you list a few colleges that students who graduated last year are currently attending? We have a very long list that I just actually pulled up, and the list is quite interesting. It's on our website, Sadie, and we have students that were accepted to Ivy League schools, large state schools, small liberal arts schools, specialty schools, you name it. And I think that's a reflection of the students that come out of St. Joe's, the well-rounded young men. There are all different types of kids that form our community here. Mr. Bruno touched on that a little bit when he was asked about some of the religious requirements. We are a regional school, which adds to a very diverse and dynamic community we have here on campus. We have students from over 130 different towns who have different interests and different backgrounds, and it shows in where they end up in college, to be honest with you. There are very many different types of universities. Just to name a few, Brown University, Hofstra University is obviously more local, Lafayette College in Pennsylvania, Michigan State University, a big state school, Ohio State University. So very wide range of colleges where our students are not only applying to, but they're getting accepted to, and many of them are getting scholarships from. As we had our class last year, 86% of our class was offered a college scholarship, and the total number was over $20 million in scholarships were offered to St. Joe's seniors a year ago, the class of 2020. What kind of support do you offer for kids who have IEPs? That comes from Sarah Comstock. Mr. Bruno, if you want to answer that one for us.
Yeah, great question. So we have a unique program that we call the Learning Center here that's administered by Bergen County Special Services. So we have a full-time teacher on staff who is an employee of Bergen County, is a certified special ed teacher who delivers the services and accommodations to students, and also offers a study skills-based course. So the way in their schedule that it works for the boys, they defer their foreign language to junior and senior year, and in lieu of foreign language, take this Learning Center class. So they take that as a cohort, which is nice. The rest of their courses, though, are mainstream courses. The goal of the program from the very beginning has been to raise students to the standards of St. Joe's and not to lower our standards to those students. Since the program's inception, and I want to say this is the 16th year of it, there has been an unbelievable drop in the number of students failing a class, even for a single marking period, and a significant rise in those students who are making things like the honor roll and the principals list. So the outcomes of the program sort of speak for themselves. In addition to the Learning Center program, all of the teachers here are equipped to work with students who have IEPs, ISPs, or 504s and deliver services and accommodations as well. So the most basic ones that we have here are things like extended time and preferential seating. Use of technology has sort of become the universal accommodation, obviously, for everyone. But the teachers, again, here are very used to and very comfortable with providing services. Our guidance department does a fantastic job working with parents and advocating on students' behalf with teachers. Teachers, again, are here before school to offer extra help opportunities and are here after school for a minimum of a half hour to offer extra help as well. And again, those are opportunities that are afforded to the entire student body.
Okay, our next question, is there a discount if the student goes to a church in the Archdiocese of Newark? Mrs. Buckley or Mr. Odie, do you want to answer that one?
There are no discounts with respect to attending a church within the Archdiocese of Newark. But, we encourage all students to go to and join the families to join diocese or, any other faith-based community.
I know that specific discount isn't there, but if you do happen to work at an archdiocesan school, there is a discount available. Mrs. Buckley, I believe that's $1,000 per year if one of the parents is an employee. Is that right?
That's correct. You're correct.
Next question. If my child is placed in one track, say college prep, does he have the ability to move out of that track, possibly into accelerated or even honors? Mr. Bruno.
Yes, that's actually what Mr. Stoto, the assistant principal for academics, and I are doing this week, is meeting with all of the freshman classes to say, you've been placed in whatever track you've been placed in. You certainly have a sense for whether that's incredibly challenging for you or not. But for those guys who desire to move up, whether that be to an accelerated or an honors class, our challenge to them is always show us in the way that you're putting forth effort, show us in your grades, and we certainly make those adjustments at the end of the marking period and then at the end of the semester in January. In January, then the way just sort of scheduling in the future works, teachers will then place students in classes for the next year. So they will actually put in the recommendation to say that I may have this student in an A-level math course, but I think next year he can do honors level math. So the teachers will make those initial recommendations. If students want to even challenge those recommendations, that's when they meet with Mr. Stoto and myself, and we say, listen, you have between now, which would be January-ish, until June to once again show us, put forth the effort, and then in June we will once again make scheduling modifications if needed. So yes, from the very beginning we tell kids, just because you've been placed in one track, you are not stuck there.
Okay, our next question is from Annette. What kind of academic support do you offer to student athletes, being that they go to practice right after school? I know, Mr. Bruno, you want to chime in on this. I would just say one bit of support that we do give those students, and it's with all our students, but especially students who have busy schedules, whether that comes with playing on a sports team or performing in our theater arts program or whatever it may be. We do try to give them the life skill of time management and work with them on that, which is a very important aspect of your 4 years in preparing for college here. I know many of our teachers are available for school, after school, and after school, the way things are structured, our last bell is at 1:55. Students, especially athletes, do have some time to find a place for a half hour, do some homework, prepare for a test, grab a spot in the courtyard, hop into the media center before they go to practice, which is great that they can get a head start on some of the work that they may need to finish up after practice that night. Mike, is that the experience that you've seen with a lot of the students?
Yes, that is true. In addition, so the final bell rings here just shy of 2:00, and no athletic practice begins until 2:45. So students have that 45 and 50-minute period to go see a teacher for extra help, to go up to our media center and begin their homework, or to join a club or another activity. So guys are certainly given ample opportunity to at least get a jump start on their homework, so that by the time they get home after practice, late at night, have dinner, have to shower, it then doesn't become, and now we have to fight about homework until you go to bed. So we really do encourage the guys, as soon as the bell rings, jump into your work. And the one thing that I can say in my now almost 5 years doing this here that I've seen is guys are actually more successful in season. So when they're at the height of their busiest, where they're maybe in a club and they're running to an athletic practice, for whatever reason, and I think to Mr. Aselta's point, time management plays into that, they actually do better in those marking periods. It's the lull marking periods that all of a sudden we'll see a little bit of a dip in grades. So the academic support is there again for all students. They just need to take advantage of that time that they have before practice begins.
Okay, our next question comes from Linda. As far as the total number of applicants accepted, has that number changed, reduced, or limited due to COVID situation? We don't anticipate that number changing. We're blessed here at St. Joe's with a very large campus with a lot of space for our teaching and our students to be in class. Right now, we're under a hybrid program where we have students in the building every day, according to what color of 2 colors they have been assigned, and they're here every other day for a full day of schooling, while the other students are remote for that day and they are live in person, virtually schooling and an active participant in that class. So I don't anticipate us lowering our acceptance numbers because we do have the space here, and it's an advantage we have. Unlike some of the other schools in the area, we do have a campus size that is conducive to building our student body and growing it over the next few years, COVID or non-COVID. So Mike, would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I don't see it having a tremendous impact. We'll see in terms of what that means in terms of applications coming in, but in terms of, to Mr. Selta's point of our strategy in accepting students, it will be what it has been in the past.
Okay, David has a question. Does SJR offer transportation, or is there public transportation nearby? How does that work? I would say yes and yes for the most part there. We do offer a lot of transportation for our students. As I said, we have students coming from over 130 different towns. Many of those towns provide busing directly from that town to St. Joe's. We also try to work with some towns in finding some convenient centrally located spots for students who may not have busing specifically from their town, but find a few towns that are neighboring and have a joint bus stop where a bus comes and buses students from a few towns to St. Joe's. I know we have a Route 4 bus stop, to use it as an example, that kids come to a few different, from different towns, hop on that bus, which is specifically going to St. Joe's, and we get those students there. Am I missing anything on that, Mike, when it comes to transportation? Mr. Roberts is our transportation expert. He's not with us.
Right. So if you're a Rockland County, New York resident, you receive busing. I love the Rockland County transportation question because it's always yes. There's busing to the school. New Jersey, it then becomes dependent on your individual public school district, where, to Mr. Aselta's point, they'll either offer you busing to the school, they will offer you aid in lieu of transportation, or unfortunately they will say to you, we're not giving you anything, we're not busing you and we're not giving you a reimbursement. And that changes, and again, that's dependent on your local public school district. To Mr. Aselta's point, we have really tried to go above and beyond and provide a private bus route, which we ended up charging parents what their aid in lieu would be. So last year it was $1,000. So when parents received that aid in lieu, they sent it to the school. And for that $1,000, we were then providing transportation down the Route 4 corridor. And if you were coming from the Ringwood area as well, with regional stop points. So you didn't have to live on Route 4 to make it happen. But if you could get yourself to the Riverside Square Mall, you would be picked up there.
Okay, we don't have any active questions in there. So if you do have questions before we wrap things up tonight, you can put those in there. Again, I'll reiterate some of those important dates that are coming up. Our next open house is coming up on Wednesday, November 4th. That's at 6:30. That's an in-person on-campus event here at St. Joe's that we will require masks for everyone on campus in order to put on a safe open house program here at St. Joe's. That's November 4th. Application deadline is December 1st, and that is followed by acceptance, which comes out in mid-January, January 14th. And again, those scholarship dates, I know I've said them a few times, and they're on the website: Saturday, January 16th, Wednesday, January 20th, and Saturday, January 23rd. We have a couple other questions coming in right now. Is there a swim team or club? Also, is there a gaming and esports team or club? I'm going to pull up my club list right now. We do have a gaming club, which has taken off in the last few years, as you can imagine. Gaming and esports are very popular right now. We do have a club for that. I don't believe we currently have a swim club unless I'm mistaken right now. Mike, are you aware of the swim
You are
club?
correct. No, we do. That's one of the things we do not have as a swim club or team.
Now, as I mentioned before, that's not to say your son can't come here and start a swim club. We'd have to find a pool. That would be one ask of them to do. But if they have a bunch of kids who'd like to join a swim club and get together, we would help that. We'd help hopefully get in talks with a pool and see how we could make that happen for them. But those ideas, we like to see them turn into reality and clubs here at St. Joe's. And the students usually are spearheading that. Do boys carpool with one another or their families? A lot of them do. A lot of them carpool before they're 16 years old, before they're driving, and then a lot of them carpool together when they're driving. And that's also something I think we probably help facilitate at times. If there's a particular situation, I know we had a student transfer here from a pretty good ways, almost an hour away in New York. And I know there's one other student already here at St. Joe's from that town. And I know the talks are starting to maybe see if there could be some kind of carpooling that those families could do to kind of ease the burden of an hour-long commute to school each day. So we will try to work with you and help you on that. Any other questions that we can think of? If you want to put up a couple other things going on. I mentioned our open house, which is November 4th. And our first one was very successful at the end of September. So if you are up for seeing our campus, hopefully you can see a little more than what is seen just on Chestnut Ridge Road, which is nice to see what our building is like inside on campus, and also some of our facilities, which we believe are very unique to the high schools in the area. We definitely encourage you to come pay us a visit. We're going to have another SOFA Social next month in November, probably focus on a couple different aspects of their life here, the students' life here at St. Joe's. It might be about curriculum, and athletics will be involved in that, hopefully. So we will have another one of these Q&A sessions coming up prior to the application deadline. A couple more questions. Are there any service trips or projects that are part of graduation requirements? Yes, Nicole, and I know Mike will hop in on this well. We require at least 20 hours of service per year per student. So by the time your student has graduated from St. Joe's, they'll have completed at least 80 hours of community service. And service can be anything from going to a nursing home and playing a board game with someone there, to going on a retreat and helping people maybe physically disabled or less fortunate than many of us are. That is very much a part of our curriculum and required. And I believe each student goes on at least one retreat each year. Is that right, Mike?
That's correct. In terms of trips then as well, so we always look at services. We want to serve our local community and then obviously our greater community. So we have traveled to places like Nazareth Farms in West Virginia. We've been to Buffalo. More recently, a group went, well, not this past summer, the previous summer, went to Mexico to do service. We also have a relationship with the Maris brothers, who have a remarkable campus up in Esopus, New York, where there are camps held every summer that our guys get involved in that help disadvantaged and disabled youths and young adults. And guys have such incredible experiences there that they go year after year and long after graduation. It's an entirely voluntary based camp. So it only exists because volunteers are willing to go up there and to serve, and our guys make up a significant portion of those volunteers.
Yeah, and service is very much a part of what we do here at St. Joe's. I know our Sleep Out program is part of our service project, and that's taken off in the last few years. That benefits Covenant House for homeless teens in New Jersey, where we get over 250 students that raise money individually and then sleep outside and learn what it's like to be a homeless teen. They basically get a cardboard box and they sleep out in our courtyard or outside here at St. Joe's. And basically they feel what it's like to live on the streets. The weather, it could be a nice night like tonight, which is a little warmer. We've had nights where it's 35 degrees and raining, and the guys sleep out there. They listen to speakers from Covenant House that come talk with them. Some of the homeless teens come and share their experiences with our students. And what I think is so impressive is they sleep through the night, or they try to sleep through the night, and then the next morning they get up and they go to class. They don't go home to take a nap. So they have to really experience what it's like, because if you're a homeless teen, you wake up in the morning and you have to go to work possibly or go to school. And our boys that take part in that program get to experience that. And many have said that's been a life-changing service project that they've been a part of. David has a question. When COVID-19 goes away, what places do you go for field trips for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors? In addition to the retreats, Mike, can you share any specific trips that some of the boys go on?
Yeah, they vary from class to class and teacher to teacher. We really try to tap into our proximity to New York City and obviously all the different cultural experiences available there. Ecology class will go to the Meadowlands. So it varies. There aren't an enormous amount of field trips in a given year, like what you may have experienced in elementary school. But when they do go on them, they're meaningful and they're powerful trips.
Okay, we're coming up on 8 o'clock now, so I don't see any fresh questions in. So again, key dates coming up. Open house is November 4th. That's a Wednesday night at 6:30. We have a SOFA Social number 2 in November. Be on the lookout for that. Our tours are open right now. So if you would like to come, you're not going to be able to make open house, and you'd like to take a tour of St. Joe's, you can book that on the portal, or you can contact us directly in the admissions office. And those are going on right now, Monday through Thursdays, after school around 2:15. And December 1st is that big date to get your applications in for the class of 2025. I think coming up on 8 o'clock is a good way to wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us tonight on our SOFA Social. And we hope to either see you on campus soon here at St. Joe's, or hope to see your names coming through on some of the applications that we'll be getting before December 1st. Thanks, and be well, everybody.
Good night.